Hello and welcome to Morningstar. I'm Emma Wall and I'm joined today by Jake Robbins, manager of the Premier Global Alpha Growth Fund, to give his 3 stock picks. Hello, Jake.
Morning.
So what's the first stock?
So the first stock we like at the moment is Erste Group, which is an Austrian bank. But unlike most of the EU banking sector, who are suffering under negative interest rates, makes it very hard to lend profitably. Erste Group generate the vast majority of their profits in Central and Eastern Europe, so places like the Czech Republic, Romania, Slovakia. And these economies are actually growing much, much faster than the EU. Debt levels are actually very, very low in these countries after the consumer has deleveraged after the financial crisis. And because of that growth and because of that lack of debt, there's very, very strong loan growth. Despite that, Erste Group still trades at a discount to its book value because it's associated with the EU. So we think it's got this very nice combination of growth and very attractive valuation.
Because European banks continue to not be popular. We've had even more bad news from Deutsche Bank this week. So how do you make sure that actually this bank is not tainted, is not associated?
Yes, indeed. So if you look at the Italian banks, they're still struggling under huge amounts of non-performing loans. Deutsche Bank and some others are still very, very undercapitalised. Erste Group has cleaned up its balance sheet. It got into a lot of trouble with its Eastern European loans in 2011, but they've done the right thing and written most of those non-performing loans off, and now they've got a strong balance sheet and are really well set to benefit from this loan demand.
And what's the second stock today?
Okay, so the second stock we like at the moment is called Dometic. They're a Swedish manufacturer of what they term comfort critical equipment, which means things like heating, air conditioning, sanitary and sinks and the like in recreational vehicles. So the big motorhomes that you see in the US, very, very popular across continental Europe as well. They dominate, they're the market leader in this market, and there is very, very strong growth for these motorhomes, particularly because the children of the baby boomers are turning in 50 about now, and that's the age where typically people invest and buy these motorhomes. So you'll be seeing this very favourable demand growth because of the demographics.
And also people, we were talking off air before about the sort of the terrorism element of actually more people in the US are preferring to take, domestic holidays.
Yes, so clearly when you see the attacks in Paris, anything like that makes people scared about going overseas. So the idea of getting into a motorhome, driving it yourself, choosing where you go, maybe steering clear of the bigger cities, is actually becoming more popular.
And what's the third stock today?
And the third stock that we own, that we like at the moment, is called Nexteer. Now, they're based in Hong Kong, but really they're a global provider of the electronic steering systems in cars, SUVs, pickup trucks and the like. What we're seeing is very, very strong growth for their products. At the moment, you can buy even basic low-end cars, Renaults, Peugeots, that can actually reverse park themselves, and increasingly that's more sophisticated, more expensive kit that Nexteer provide to all these auto manufacturers. And as we see the shift go away from people driving cars to autonomous driving, then the complexity of these products will just go up, and that's really, really great news for the providers.
And how dependent are they on any key client? Because if we look at sort of other tech companies, other tech component companies, such as chips, they're very much dependent on the relationship they perhaps have with Apple. Is that the same with this sort of tech?
It is slightly. They have historic relationships with GM and Ford and Chrysler in the US, but because they're based in Hong Kong, they're increasingly penetrating the domestic names in China, and actually most Western cars now have an element of electronic steering control already, whereas a lot of the emerging market cars don't, so that's actually developing a new growth market for them.
Jake, thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is Emma Wall for Morningstar. Thank you for watching.